Good afternoon. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. We started off our day with department tours, so we pretty much have everything from agenda item 1 all the way down to 7 done, but I will call for any public comment right now. Okay, noting no public comment, we'll move to our first appointment, 8A, consideration and possible action, update of current activities, plans, or actions related to the Bureau of Land Management, Carson City District. Whatever seat you like. And it's going to be the little red button on the bottom of that microphone. Just tap it once.
Okay. Well, thank you all for having us. Thank you. Oh.
Yeah, just hit the lit up button. Yeah, there you go.
Trust me, I'm a professional. Thank you for having us and for giving us your time. So I'm Catherine Dyer. I'm the acting Stillwater Field Manager, and I probably won't know the answer to some of your questions, but I'll be happy to get you any answers or to questions you might have. So the first topic will be the National Defense Authorization Act, and Melanie Hornsby is still the project manager for that. And we did have a successful award for a baseline contract in November 18 of last year. And we have been working with the Department of Agriculture and Navy and meeting with the affected permittees regularly. And the BLM and Bureau of Reclamation continues to work through the BLM and BOR withdrawal revocation process for Churchill County's top 2 priorities. So that is an ongoing process. BLM working with approach on grazing in all the bombing ranges, and we have been a part of meetings and field trips for the Great Basin Pipeline realignment and State Route 361 road realignment. Do I ask for questions on each slide or just at the end?
Most of them is on each slide, but we'll chime in if we have.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then for wild horse and burro actions, we have had a variety of census flights planned for fiscal year 25. And so you can see we have flights planned for Pilot Table Herd, Marietta Herd, Pine Nut Herd, Garfield Flat Herd, Wasik Herd, Montgomery Pass, Lahontan, and North Complex, Flanagan, and Desatoya. And we're prioritizing the Lahontan Herd Management Area, which is in Churchill County, and we're currently working on the Gather EA for that. And the second priority is the North Complex in Washoe County, and that's also going to need its own horse gather NEPA. And the North Complex would include the Flanagan, Dogskin Mountains, and Granite Peak herd management areas. Greater Sage Grouse Amendment Update. So the Greater Sage Grouse Draft RMP Amendment and Environmental Impact Statement. Thank goodness we have an acronym for that, right? And the feedback received in over 38,000 public comments, BLM has prepared a proposed RMP amendment and final EIS. Friday, November 8th, the proposed RMP amendment and final EIS were available on the BLM's National NEPA Register. And on Friday the 8th, so I'm sorry, clearly we did not update this slide, but January 7th, the public comment ended and the consistency review ended. And probably what this should say is that we have received concerns from the counties. So I don't know offhand if Churchill County was one of those, but yes. So the BLM will publish a notice. So we already did all that. Sorry about that. And yes, we have received concern from Churchill County and I think 6 other counties, several counties in Nevada. Geothermal projects, Dixie Meadows, coordinating with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Navy, and ORMAT on additional data needs. And the Diamond Flat Exploration NEPA in progress and working on timeline with the NEPA contractor. So we're continuing to work through those processes. We don't have any updates on special recreation permits at this time. And for lands and realty, 361 is BLM's part of, for the 361 road realignment, BLM's part of the meetings and field trips for the Great Basin Pipeline realignment, and that continues to go on. And the Pilot Peak Road Reroute EA is finalized, and the Fonzian decision is expected. So Greenlink North, the draft EIS, 90-day public comment and review period ended on 12/11. So right now, the district is working on reviewing the draft cultural inventory reports. And in October, we had a virtual meeting, and then you can see we had in-person meetings in Ely, Eureka, and Sparks through October and November of last year. And with that, I will invite any questions you haven't brought up yet.
Any questions or comments for Catherine? Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you much.
Move on to
Should I
8B.
leave this
public-
on for the next speaker?
You can turn it off, please. Thank you. Move on to 8B, public hearing, consideration of possible action, Bill 2024-E, Ordinance 71, and ordinance amending Title 13 and 16 of the Churchill County Code to 1, consolidate water dedication requirements within the Title 13 of the Churchill County Code, 2, clarify water dedication requirements of all land development, 3, set payment in lieu of dedication requirements for all land development, and 4, designate the purpose to which payments in lieu of dedication may be put. And I'll pass that one to Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Joe Sanford for the record. This is the second meeting and adoption of this ordinance if passed by the board. I can go into the details again if you would like, but the main purpose of this ordinance is to make the county more nimble and able to interact with developers to create payments in lieu of water.
Any questions or comments from board or staff? Is there any public comment? A motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt Bill 2024-E, Ordinance 71, as presented.
Second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Moving on to 8C, consideration of possible action, authorization to post a request for proposals for a health authority for the Churchill County Adult Detention Facility and the Juvenile Detention Facility from physicians licensed in the state of Nevada and other qualified healthcare providers interested in providing outpatient medical care and overseeing the distribution of medications in the Churchill County Jail and the Juvenile Detention Facility. Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'll start with welcoming our newest members of the board. Glad to see you here. I think this is my first appearance before you, so we're glad Chairman Ghetto's here too, but welcome to those two new members. As the board is aware by the agenda item, there's a request for proposal that we're seeking authorization to post. This is not the actual contract. This is not any agreement. This is the seeking for proposals from physicians and other individuals who are medically qualified to provide medical care for those who are in custody. As the board's aware, we have our adult jail and we have our juvenile detention center. Recently in our juvenile detention center, we'd had a health authority there. She has since essentially left and is no longer able to provide services there. Our current medical authority or doctor at the jail lives some distance from here, and my understanding is not going to be a long-term fix. And so we're looking to put out this request for proposals to obtain some proposals from individuals. As the board can see, there's the request for proposal in there. That sets the deadlines in March for returning those. They would be reviewed and approved by April if they're approved at all. By this board, it would come back before this board for final approval, which would include any contract or agreement conditions that are to be agreed upon. The request for proposal does not create any binding contract. We can put it out, and then at the end of the day, if it's not in the budget or it's not to our liking, it doesn't have to be approved by this board. And so this same process was gone through last year. Some proposals were received. They exceeded the budgetary ability at the time, and so this is an attempt to put this out there, get some further medical attention for our those who are detained here in Churchill County. And so the proposed contract is in there, request for proposal is in there, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Any questions or comments from board or staff?
Mr. Chair, I have a couple questions. Concerning the scope of work in the outpatient care, items A and B, it says that the health authority will distribute and prepare the medications for the adults and the juveniles. And then if you move to item 3B, C, and D, it says that they will administer one time a day, Monday through Friday, at 7 a.m. and at 9 a.m. And then it says in D there that they will prepare the medications and make sure that staff is ready to distribute those while they're not there, because medicine is given more than once a day, and then on the weekends, of course, the staff would not be there. My question to you is there any concern that we're removing the medication from its proper container and repackaging it and then putting it in the possession of another person to administer that? Is there any concern or any liability issues to the county with that process? And
I don't see any additional liability that would exist. Again, this health authority would oversee that, right? And so they would make that ultimate determination on how that would be packaged, whether it's, I mean, I would defer to them on that, but they're going to be overseeing it. They're going to ensure that people are trained. I mean, currently, these medications are just being handed out by staff at the jail. And so this is definitely a step up from the current practice, which is the officers are looking at the pills and the bottles and distributing it. So this would put it in the hands of a medical professional who would instruct the staff, who would, and again, if it can't be removed from there because it would expire or it needs to be refrigerated, whatever that may be, I think that's within the scope of the contract for the medical authority to look at that and say, hey, here's how this needs to be done. If it needs to stay in the pill bottle, then, that can be done as well. And so I don't see any additional liability in having them prepare that and instruct the staff on how to proceed.
okay, and then has the staff at both facilities reviewed the scope of work and they agree that it meets the needs that they're asking for or needing?
It's been provided to both the sheriff's office and to juvenile probation. I've discussed it with them. I've discussed it with County Manager Jim Barbie. We live in a world where there are budgets, and so obviously there are, I refer to them sometimes as the Cadillac option, where there's lots of things we want, and there's things that we need. I think this fits in the middle where it has what we need. Could we pay more? Could there be more things in there? Of course, we'd love to have someone 24/7 sitting in the jail and then JPO to provide these kind of services. But it's been discussed with them, and my understanding is everyone has reviewed it. I've spoken with them, and so both the sheriff's office and juvenile probation are here if the board has questions for them as well. But I've discussed it with all parties.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions or comments from board or staff?
I do have a question, Mr. Chair. The last proposals, does anybody here have any recollection of what they came in at? And
There was,
was it similar to what we're requesting now?
So this is Jeff Weed for the record. This is a scale back from that. There's a few primary differences. One, there were multiple times a day, going back to the medication distribution. And the last one, that it was going to be multiple times a day, which would obviously require staff to be there for a longer period of time, costing more money. And so the time they were there would be an availability of the health authority 24/7 essentially for on-call. This scales it back to Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, where they're available. If it's outside that time frame, then officers can take inmates and detained juveniles to ban or to receive medical attention. So this scales back the time frame, scales back the amount of time they're at the jail. So here it's 7 to 9 in the morning at the jail, Monday through Friday, and then 9 to 10 at juvenile probation, Monday through Friday. So someone's there Monday through Friday, and then obviously not on the weekends. And so this scales it back a little bit from last year. The cost, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head. They're around $600,000 to $700,000 a year. One of them had a built-in increase, I think, of 6% each year, which would roll high pretty quick. And so this was all part of the conversation, try to scale this back a little bit to fit it within the budget and to get things where they go. Obviously, we don't know what the cost is going to be until we receive the proposals. That's part of the proposal, is for them to say, hey, how can you accomplish this, what we're asking? In what way can you do it? In what way is going to be different than what we're asking? And then how much is that going to cost to accomplish that. And so those are things you don't really know until you get these proposals. And so the hope is we'll put this proposal out, we'll receive some of those, and they'll include that cost, and it can be analyzed at that time.
I heard you correctly, $600,000 to $700,000 a year?
My recollection was north of 700.
It was
Yeah, I
Seven
think one
was
was in the 6, one was in the 7, and then the 6 one had a
Increase.
6% increase or so.
I think that 7 one was like
Per year.
754,000 a
Yeah.
year. And I think there was one even on top of that that was higher.
So, and it may have been that, but I don't have those numbers in front of me.
Do you know if those were the same type of services, or were they more services that they were going to offer for that?
Than what's provided
Posted
today. Generally, they're the same as far as,
Last
you know,
year, it would have been the same.
last year, they're the same as far as what they're going to offer as far as the, outpatient treatment, distribution of medications. The time frame that they're available and the time frame they're present are kind of some of the significant changes that scale that back.
So that's been scaled back this year.
That's been scaled back in this. Again, I think they were going to show up 3 times a day in the last proposal, 3 times a day at the jail and at JPO to distribute medications. And again, that doctor would have been available essentially 24/7 for on-call emergencies, after-hours stuff. That's not included in this. And again, they're now only 1 time a day at the facilities. And so some of that's been scaled back, which in theory would result in a reduction of cost. And again, we won't know until we get those proposals.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from board or staff?
Mr. Chairman, just clarification. One of the questions was if it had been shared with staff. Just a point, it's shared with leadership, and then leadership determines, but the employer identifies the classifications of a position. It was not shared with employees with their expectation of input, just so that we're very clear on that. And then I would just have one final question, and this is based on conversations that we've had regarding this. Does the district attorney's office feel comfortable with the liability that's represented in putting this proposal out?
Yes, the district attorney's office feels comfortable. Kind of going back to the Cadillac version versus other versions, it'd be wonderful to hire a doctor full-time, have them as the Churchill County, health
Absolutely.
authority and do those kind of things. And so anything we do from getting in a car to walking out our door in the morning, there's liability. And so liability exists. This is a significant step in reducing that. We believe that it's
From where
a
we
good step
are.
of doing it, especially from where we are.
Thank you.
And this is something that, the contract is initially set up to be for a 1-year period, and then there's an automatic renewal. So if no one terminates the agreement, it'll just renew for another year and another year, so on and so forth. And so it can be terminated, it can be renegotiated. And so if things go for a year and everyone decides, hey, this is working or this isn't working, we need to modify it in this way or that way, we want someone there more time than is currently in there, that can be negotiated and that can be changed. And so this isn't a stamp it in time and it's going to be a 30-year agreement type of thing. This is you enter into a year agreement, you see how things are going. If everyone's happy, you continue on it. If you need to renegotiate it, you can. But regarding the liability, yes, our office is comfortable with it.
Any other questions? Sheriff's Office, do you guys want to add anything? JPO? Okay. Is there any public comment on this one? If none, a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to authorize the posting of a request for proposals for a health authority for the Churchill County Adult Detention Facility and Juvenile Detention Facility as outlined.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Jeff. Moving on to 8D, consideration of possible action, approval of request for proposal seeking economic development submissions for property located at 2255 Casey Road, Fallon, Nevada, APN 008-361-11. Start off with Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Joe Sanford for the record. I'll give a brief history on this for those of you who are not fully aware. Churchill County purchased property at 2255 Casey Road in 2023 when there were mobile homes on the property in a defunct and uninhabitable condition. The county had solicited economic development proposals in 2024, and we entered into a purchase agreement with the Best Development Group at that time to both produce an economic development plan, including a hotel, as well as to clean up the mobile homes on the property. During the feasibility period, they pulled out of that agreement, and it was decided, I guess, partly by this board or the board before, to move forward with cleaning up the property. It has since been cleaned up. All of the defunct mobile homes as well as the dwelling have been removed, and the property is prepared for development. This RFP seeks economic development submissions from developers to utilize this property. It's a well-situated property, and that could provide benefit to the community. The preference in the RFP is for a public accommodation purpose, which would be a hotel, motel, but it does provide an opportunity for a developer to submit any type of economic development submission that they believe is amenable to the county. Any RFP will be scored and then submitted back to this board for your ultimate approval. That's it.
Jim, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Just a little bit of history. So we did put out an RFP prior to this, prior to cleaning the property up, and we did have a developer come forward that was interested in the adjacent property. I think the adjacent property, which I believe is 14 acres, is on the market, and realistically, there's probably going to be a fair bit of synergy between those two properties. So if approved, what I'd foresee is that probably the realtor tied to the back 14 acres will probably be working forward to try to get a project put together that could address both. That's what happened previously. That proposal project fell through, which is why it then came back to us, and the county didn't want to wait any longer for it to get cleaned up because it was such a tremendous blight to the community and eyesore, and it created some, for sure, extra work on the sheriff's office and the safety within the community because of the way it was. So at the end of the day, the county may, who knows what we're going to get for a proposal, but I think at the end of the day, we got a much cleaner entrance into our community, and now it's time to try to move that property somewhere else and move it forward. There's no reason for the county to hang on to property. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Any other questions or comments from board or staff? Is there any public comment? If none, a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the request for proposals for economic development projects at 2255 Casey Road, Fallon, Nevada.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Moving on to new business, 9A, Nevada Division of Water Resource notification of the filing of application 93871 through 93875 by APX Minerals Incorporated to appropriate water from underground and surface sources located in Churchill County, Nevada, with a proposed place of use being both in Churchill County and Lyon County. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, this is Joe Sanford for the record. This is a requirement for review under NRS from the State Engineer's Office. At this time, it's our understanding that Apex Minerals is looking at doing discovery for lithium and other similar resources within Churchill County, which could potentially provide economic benefits. We've had this reviewed by our water engineer, who also had no objections, and so we recommend that you direct the clerk to send a letter in support of this application.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions or comments from board or staff? If public comment, a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to support the applications and to direct the clerk to send a letter stating such.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Is there anything anyone wants to pull off the consent items? If none, a motion, please.
Excuse me, yes, I'd like to pull off something just to run it through the new commissioners, please.
Okay.
Item A, this item is on the agenda every time we have a meeting. And what it has is it has the fund balance at a point of time. It shows the beginning balance of the year and the revenues and expenditures for each fund. And then quarterly, Pam was going to put them up there. That's what the fund balance looks like. And it's there every time. And you can go through that and see what, and then this one here is our quarterly report. It shows our revenues for the first, second, each quarter, and the expenditures for each quarter. These are placed on our website by NRS where you're required to. So I just wanted to point that out to you for something to look financially each time you get your packets. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sherry. Anything else? If not, a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve consent agenda items A, B, C, D, E, F, and G as presented.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Does anyone have anything they want to consider for a future agenda item?
None at this time.
Not this time, no.
Okay, Commissioner and Management Staff reports. We'll start with you, Matt.
Nothing.
I had a cemetery board meeting, and then as well as the Lahontan Valley Conservation District meeting. Eric?
I attended the City of Fallon swearing-in ceremony for Councilman Kent and Mayor Tedford. I went to a Stillwater Conservation District meeting. They've recently sold 2 pieces of equipment that were at the end of their life, and their accounts are in good standing. And attended a fire board meeting, review and approve the December accounts payable and labor allotments for the various projects they do there. And they had no major equipment issues at the time. That's all I have.
Chair Ghetto, I would like to mention that I attended the CART board meeting, and there's more to come on that, so stay tuned.
Okay, thank you, guys. Sherry?
We are working on the budget. The departments are starting to submit their budgets for the 2026 year, and we're getting all our year-end reports done so you guys can get your W-2s and all that stuff. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Joe?
Nothing, thank you.
Jim? Pam?
Nothing additional from us.
Crystal? Oh, no, nothing additional. Okay. Claims and payroll will be going around. At this time, is there any public comment? Noting no public, we stand adjourned. Thank you, guys.